It's crazy how AAA studios have the answers to the test but still manage to fail the assignment. How are you this data-driven, studying other games' performance metrics to build your product roadmap, yet so far detached from what us as gamers actually expect from the games that we loved playing and enjoyed growing up with? I came across an article recently stating that AAA studios are perversely fascinated by indies because they still understand how to make good ideas that aren't reliant on data. If you didn't know what perversely means, to put it simply, it essentially means to act in a way that is not considered right or good, morally wrong. That is exactly how they are acting, and I will explain how. So today I want to talk about how data is leading to the downfall of AAA gaming, how creative freedom and persistence have led to the rise of indie gaming, and how gaming as a whole should handle innovation in the future. I also added a little bonus at the end of the video about a game that I personally find special. It's made by an indie, so be sure to stick around for that. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you can check out more gaming content like this. Let's dive into it. The logic and thought process behind some of these larger studios should truly be a documented series about where they were in the past and where they are now. They are so disconnected from what it means to make a game that people love. It's actually sad and extremely detrimental to the gaming community that feels like they're forced to buy these games every year just because it's the latest issue or it's time for the new release. The article says they are fascinated with indies because they still understand how to make good ideas. Making a good idea should be the bare minimum requirement to even consider making a game. Instead, we get an endless cycle of yearly releases with minimal improvements, slightly updated graphics, larger storage requirements, and an updated price tag, but the same frustration and negativity from gamers because they failed the bare minimum requirement test, step number 1, and that is truly outlandish. The decision makers have no clue what they're doing, likely a corporate suit who hasn't touched a game since Farmville, just chasing revenue quotas. That's why whenever we ask Activision to improve Call of Duty's gameplay, they push a Nicki Minaj campaign. Or whenever we tell Ubisoft that we want another game like Black Flag, their answer is a boat simulator with half the features and chores. They completely disregard the creative process that makes a game unique, and they disregard data from their own projects that show why players engaged and loved the original games to begin with. When you make a game based on data that you manipulated just so it can make sense to your shareholder, the data that sounded good because you see another game performing well, this is what you get. You get the Skull and Bones, the games that we all asked for, but at the end of the day sadly didn't want. The Starfields, games that overhype yet unfortunately underdeliver. And you get the Concords, games that disappointingly shouldn't have ever been considered in the first place. Sad, unfortunate, and disappointing. These are all words that I'm using to express that us as gamers actually don't want to see studios fail. We want to see good games, we want to see good collaborations, and we want to see studios succeed. But we also want to see studios succeed for the reasons that made it great in the first place. We want to see studios succeed in bringing true value to their projects. And if you want to be different, then be uniquely different and be great at it. Now, I want to be very clear. In no way do I think that data is bad, but if it's falsely used or falsely interpreted, then it can be seriously detrimental. By not truly understanding what we value as gamers and only following data to guide your project roadmaps instead of relying on your own creative ideas, you're destroying the trust that has been built in the industry over generations, and that is your own doing, which leads me into my next point. Creative freedom and risk-taking are what most AAA studios lack, but it's also what make indie studios so valuable and succeed in levels comparable to that of AAA titles. Of course, I don't mean pure revenue or dollar for dollar, at least all the time. What I mean is that in terms of team size, budget, marketing, and other overhead costs, profit margins and percentages may be roughly equivalent on a smaller scale. They're able to achieve this because with lower budgets, you have to be focused. Even if things have been done before, you have to have a unique idea that others would also like, not just a copycat idea. You have to innovate on your unique idea in a way that hasn't been done before. And your idea can't be built for every audience, because if you are for everyone, then you are for no one. This is how games like Hollow Knight, Peak, Minecraft, and many more have been able to captivate their audience. Hollow Knight was another Metroidvania that came with actual fleshed out lore, unique combat, and a beautiful handcrafted design that you just can't find anymore. Peak is a survival game with fantastic climbing mechanics, social features, and a repetitive gameplay loop that makes it fun to play with friends. And Minecraft is an unscripted, open world, voxel sandbox that empowers you to build your own story. Not to mention the community mods have made that game that much better. These were all unique, fantastic, empowering experiences built for one audience, but done so well that they inevitably expanded outside of that niche. And that is why it makes all the difference leveraging individual creativity when conceptualizing these projects. They start with a great idea at minimum. They leverage data not to determine where to go, but to determine where not to go. They introduce features because they add real value to the game and aren't a means to solely increase profit or revenue. And most importantly, they care about the audience, the players their game was actually built for. Now, I said earlier in the video that I had a bonus indie game that I thought was special and I wanted to share with you guys. That game is No Man's Sky. If you didn't know, No Man's Sky is a space exploration survival game with an infinitely generated galaxy. Originally released in 2016. There's mining, crafting, base building, swimming, combat, and flying. Like, you can literally fly from space onto a planet and back to space without any loading screens. It has absolutely everything you can think of in a space survival game, including multiplayer. That said, I must admit that it did have a bit of a controversial launch, to say the least. A rushed development cycle led to the release of a seemingly unfinished game that failed to deliver on early expectations. But I want to give Hello Games, the developers, so much credit for sticking with their game and their vision, because they have truly created the ultimate space survival simulator. Since 2016, they have routinely pushed free updates and content, expanded to every platform, won back the hearts of the community through sheer effort, announced a new game, and continue to push updates and features that they plan to implement into their next project even now. In fact, just the other day, they released the Voyagers update, which allows you to build your own colossal ship that you can share with your friends. And the crazy thing is, I'm sure they have many more updates to come. Their next project is called Light No Fire, which I'm very excited about because it's a fantasy survival game set on a planet like Earth. I personally think they missed the perfect opportunity to call this game No Man's Land, but I'll live. Anyways, I can go on and on about No Man's Sky and Light No Fire, so if you want me to dive deeper into those games, just let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments what you think about AAA studios obsessing over indie game data. Do you think this is acceptable? And how do you think they should move forward? Last little plug-in. I'm building a platform called Player 3 that helps gaming creators share their stories with the world of play. Player 3 also has tools to help you earn through monthly memberships or donations, so whether you're trying to raise funding for a game, write game reviews, post gameplay, share progress and updates, or whatever, if you want to make a career out of gaming, then Player 3 is the site to join. I am truly building this platform for you and for gaming. It's free to use and you can check it out now at player3.io. Until next time.